Alrighty, so it's Friday afternoon after your week 5 Learn Together. And I read through the feedback, and I had some students contact me directly that felt like they didn't have what they needed to do week 5. And so I wanted to do this video and then make you an offer. So watch through this video and then wait for the end to see my offer. Okay, so just quickly, I'll go over my code, and I've set up a simple array of objects. Okay, I have the show on page. And I just called it array of objects. And then I have this array, first number, second number, first number, second number, right? And so right now, and I'll cover the rest of this in a minute, right now I just iterate over. So I'm calling for each on that array. And for every object in there, right, I'm calling it input. And then I show on page input. Now, when you're looking at my output, you can see that um, the browser doesn't quite know how to display this, right? So we can fix that. We can come over, and here's the code, right? So input, and I can either reference first or second or both, dot first name, okay? Oh, sorry, first number. There we go. And do it right. Do it right, Rio. It's good. First number. So if I come back, it helps when you type it correctly. Okay, so that shows the first number. So I know I'm iterating over that array. I know that it's finding each of them. I'm only displaying one of the properties, but that's okay. I at least know they're there. Okay, so this part is stuff we've already covered. The thing that I added this time was I said call a function, right, as you're iterating over that. And I showed you my example, which was I put all my decision inputs, the things I needed to make my decision, in my array of objects. And then I process that. And this is where writing functions that are really well formed is really helpful. Okay. So what I did here, again, this is show on page, this is doing this. So instead of show on page like this, what I could do is call this, and this really is not sensical, it's just something I wrote real quick. And so what I'm going to do here is when I call this, and I will do math, right? And I'm going to call it with each input. Okay, now this part, and we've seen functions, we know how when we call a function, we can call it with a argument or a parameter. It becomes an argument inside of here, so they can be differently scoped. But this is where your dev tools really help you. Okay, so if I come over here and I set a breakpoint at this point, okay, so actually let me get the latest code so it has it, right? Right. Okay. So what I can do, I've hit a breakpoint here, I've restarted the page, and if I roll my mouse over what's coming in, I see that it's that first object, okay? And then if I run over the input, actually, I guess it's just not showing me here because I'm not in that active function. But now I can see, and then in here, in order for me to reference what's in there, as a matter of fact, one really great way to do this is if I just type obj on the console, it'll actually give me that, and I can type obj.firstName to get that first value, right? So yeah, it is a little much to understand. Here I've named it the array of objects one thing, each has its own property, but as I'm passing things around, those names can change. And the important thing is to understand that even though it may be a different name, it is still just an object. Okay. So now that I'm passing it, I can say, okay, and I'm just doing if it's first one's greater than the second one, return this and this, right? So if I do that, and then I go, okay, that's the answer, and now it's going to return. Now, nothing is good. Hopefully you got that piece. So let me just slow down, right? So it did the math, But what was the problem here is that I'm not doing anything with these return values. Okay. So in order to do something with them, I could do it two ways, but kind of the like more is just to wrap this in here. Okay. Because I'm only returning one value, which is the result of the math. So if that's the case, right? Let me refresh again, right? And then just restart it. Now we should see that new code in there, right? So now when I walk through this again, now it's going to return that value, right? So I have that. So now the results of running this and a return value now gets to pass to show on page. And if I step into that, I can see that that is the case in this one. Right. So it in this case it was first number was not, so it did the else clause, right? So if I walk through and then I'm done and it shows 4. Okay. So I guess the point of this is like part of what I was asking you to do is stretch a bit. There's no doubt about that. And part of why I wanted you to was it's a little what we call pre-learning for what's about to come, because we're going to see this array of objects many times. And it's pretty much what we see. We're going to move into the browser after the devs, and then we're going to start coming around to rendering that array of objects of notes and to-dos, and we'll of course do some work to it. All right, here's my offer. If you felt like week 5 was like too much and it was you struggled with it, right? I'm going to make you an offer that if in the 2 weeks after we go to after the dev, right? So dev is next week. We don't have any code alongs, or we don't have any learn together. We have a code along. And then as we move into the browser and we start dealing with how to iterate over these things, right? I'm going to let you come back to this week 5 and redo it, because, my goal is not to frustrate you, but is to help you grow. And this is the way sometimes we grow, is we need to stretch ourselves beyond sometimes where we're comfortable. And the other thing is this is why I've really appreciated those students who are looking and working ahead, because they reach out to me and we talk about code and they come see me. And it really is helpful if you're working a little bit ahead. If you're working at the due date, I'm not going to be much help to you. And so, I've made this suggestion, and I know sometimes your schedule doesn't allow it. Just know that that can be frustrating. Anyway, I'm going to post this out on Discord. Most of you on my 93 class are actually on there, which is cool, but I will also just mention this in my week 7 attendance. So